Yes, I went to see this. It's another persecution movie, and the main character's name is Joe. The marketing practically writes itself. This is about Joe Kennedy, a high school football coach who was fired for praying on the field, and then the case went to the Supreme Court. And it has a one-up on some other movies I see like this, in that at least this one is based on a real guy and a real case. Normally when I see these, it's practically science fiction, like in Disciples in the Moonlight, where the Bible has been outlawed, so our heroes sneak Bibles across state lines via writing scripture on shirts with invisible ink. That happened. But because this one is such a straightforward story, they do a lot of editing tricks and writing punch-ups to make it more interesting, in that it's actually kind of a comedy. I'm not kidding, it frequently breaks the fourth wall and has a lot of talking head moments like I'm watching Modern Family. Like something corny will happen, and a character will cut in and say, "That's not how it happened, here's how it happened." Then there will be a punchline. There's a part where Joe is in basic training, where the drill sergeant is like a PG R. Lee Ermey, but it was a little funny when he started screaming at Joe for breaking the fourth wall and talking to the audience. Sometimes it gets weird though, like before Joe and his wife get together, he marries her cousin first, and then she says, "That got awkward at family reunions," and he looks at the camera and smiles, like if Jim Halpert married Pam's cousin first. In fact, there's a lot of this movie that's a little weird. The storytelling is fresh for one of these, but the tones do clash with each other. There's a flashback on a battlefield where it gets meta with a camera crew and a green screen, but then the scene itself is supposed to be serious. Or a part where his wife is sick and she says, "I'm fine." Then he looks at the camera and says, "She wasn't fine." Like, is this serious or is it Arrested Development now? It'll do things like make fun of cheesy slow-mo shots, but then it genuinely does extremely cheesy slow-mo shots a lot. There's some laziness too. In the 80s and 90s scenes, they have young actors playing them, but from 2000 on, they always look like this for 2 decades. They never change. Not their hair or anything. This man is supposed to be in his early 30s in some scenes. It feels like this is taking place over the course of just a year, not well over 15. They also mention that they have kids, but I'll take their word for it. The kids are never in the movie. There are lines, though, that feel tongue-in-cheek, like when the coach goes out to pray, and a guy yells, "Aw shit, don't do it, coach!" Or his wife's co-worker saying to her, "I'd be ashamed to show my face here if I were you." I do like what they do with the Amy Acker character. They don't just write her as, "You go, Joe," and nothing more. No, she's a fleshed out character, and it shows how Joe's case is seriously affecting her job, and even taking a toll on their marriage. Joe, on the other hand, is written like parody. In an early hearing, his narration says, "Turns out court cases are nothing like Law and Order. I had to sit there all day and the prosecutor was being mean to me." But the best part is when he's having coffee with an atheist, and the atheist says, "Actually, you're just like Peter." And Joe says, "Who?" And the atheist says, "The Apostle Peter." Joe says, "Sorry, I'm not much of a biblical scholar." Like you need to be a scholar to know who Peter is? The atheist breaks it down for him by saying, "Imagine Jesus is Batman. Peter is like his Robin." I appreciate that this is one of these where the hero Christian practically says, "I ain't even read the Bible." And that it's a court case movie that's really anticlimactic. The Supreme Court hearings were during COVID restrictions, so there's no big court speech in it. The climax is that they're sitting near their phones, and then they get their alert like, "Oh hey, the verdict came in!" Then they bring in Willie Robertson from Duck Dynasty to talk to the camera and say, "Now here's some history about these dang old court cases." So it's faith-based Adam McKay in the last 5 minutes. But I'll give it this, its means of storytelling and the comedy aspect made the pacing a lot better. It wasn't a boring film, and by the end I was like, oh, it's over already? The acting is fine, and the movie is better than a lot of others in this genre, specifically running the bases, which pretty much has the exact same plot, but it's still got a lot of problems, and I can't say it's worth seeing in theaters. It's a C+, low expectations bumped it up a little. At least this one was slightly ambitious. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll have a review coming up for Terrifier 3, but until then, subscribe to our channel today and click the notification bell, and I'll see you next time.